Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the new Batman v Superman Shield Superman. Spot was lucky enough to find this at Toys R Us, and sadly it was also the only figure at the time that you're seeing this review that I was able to find. It is recommended for ages 3 and up and comes to us from the folks over at Mattel. Picture of Batman and Superman up at the top there. I don't know, I'm not crazy about that artwork, to be honest. It's okay, if you ask me. On the back, however, the other figures available, there are Batman, there is Wonder Woman, and then there's the armored up Batman as well. There is no read-up, sadly. It just says Shield Superman, and then it has all the other names of this Superman in different languages. Contents, 1 figure, 1 accessory. This also is an interesting case where the figure, usually the back package, the figure looks awesome, and then the figure is kind of okay. This might actually be the first time where the original concept figure on the back looks actually worse, if I can say it, than the figure that we end up getting on the front. That's just my own personal opinion. Other than that, there's not really much else to speak of. I'd like to eventually get my hands on these, but unfortunately Toys R Us got these and then they were gone. Just like that. Just like that. But I will go back and I'll see if I can pick up the other ones as well. Spot's going to take a break though and get this opened up. When we come back, however, we're going to get a better look at the Batman v Superman Shield Superman. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Quickly looking at Superman's one lone accessory, he comes with an S emblem shield. The shield has 2 little prongs on the back that you can go ahead and take the figure and snap it over his arm. It begs the question, why would Superman ever need a shield? This would be the equivalent of the Flash having a rocket-powered skateboard. He does not need it, nor does Superman need this shield. I get that they were trying to incorporate something above and beyond just releasing the figure, but come on. Come on, guys. Does Superman need a shield? I say that and then jokingly watch as in the movie, Superman somehow gets himself a shield. Or maybe like in the original Superman or Superman 2, Superman just kind of makes the shield out of his emblem and just kind of throws it at Zod and the other Kryptonians, just made out of sandwich wrap. Maybe it's going to be something like that. I don't know. It's okay. Would I ever display Superman with a shield? Never. Never. Let's go ahead and take the shield off. It's just a very hollow plastic. We'll put that to the side. Okay, so having a look at the figure. Spot, by the way, is dealing with a cold right now, but I don't think that skews my opinions of hopefully what this figure is. This figure is... it's okay, but I don't know what they were really going with. For starters, I got a little bit of glue or something that was on Superman's elbow. We'll just put that to the side. We don't need that. Unless somebody else wanted it. I don't know. The face is good. The body is pretty good, although he's oddly proportioned. I don't really understand what logical sense this figure makes, because, like, if you take away his arms, his forearms, and you take away his lower legs, he is properly proportioned, I think, to himself. Everything fits the bill right. But then you look at his lower arms and his giant hands. You also look at his giant feet, and everything, at least those parts, look really funny on Superman. It just doesn't make sense to me why he's got to have these giant forearms, and while really the rest of his body, if he had more narrower forearms, it would have made more sense. Instead, they don't. As for his face, I am obviously omitting the problem, the severe problem I have with this figure. The face is pretty good. Before you jump on me, it's pretty good if we're looking at this as a kid's figure, which ultimately this is. This is a kid's figure. As a kid's figure for Superman, I think it looks passable. Does it look like Henry Cavill? No. But I think it does a pretty good job, especially imagining, if you will, like if I was 6 years old, maybe at the time that the original Supermans came out, I would have jumped for joy. Hop skippity loo, I would have said, if they had released a figure like this and I would have got Superman in hand. I think by today's standards we get a little criticized. Well, we criticize too much, I think, when it comes to figures, that they have to be these incredible figures that are leaps and bounds over what we had gotten before. So looking at it from a child, I could see that a child would enjoy this. I would have to think, though, that even as a child may ask, why, oh why, did they give Superman a fruit roll-up for a cape? That's in fact not quite that far off than the truth, because Batman, or Superman here, has this weird plastic cape. I can't think of many figures I've ever seen that has this type of cape. It's kind of a cross between a fruit roll-up and the material that they put on note tote binders. If you ever cut off a note tote binder, it's about this same sort of plastic. I'm not crazy about it because it will show creases. It already shows areas at the top, though, where it's been crimped, or it's trying to be fit underneath the top of what would have been a really great sculpted cape. And instead they give us this. I'm assuming that Batman will also share the same fate as Superman by getting this horrible plastic cape. Not a fan. At least give us fabric. I would have dug if they had given us the same continued sculpt all the way down for a back cape. Why they chintz out and they give us this kind of cape is beyond me. As for posability, well, he doesn't really have as much as I had hoped. I had hoped he would have had some sort of shoulder articulation where you could have actually moved his shoulders out. Same that for the legs. But unfortunately, Superman's relegated only to swiveling joints on the shoulders. He's got a hinge in the elbow. He's got no rotation in the wrist. However, you do see the rotation also in the elbow, so at least that's something. No waist swivel, but the legs at least go forward and back, and he does have a bend in the knee. I like the coloring. The sculpt is good, be it, of course, not for the large gorilla hands and arms that he's got. Everything else looks good. I can't accept why you would have gone, or why Mattel would have gone with a plastic cape of all things. I know they're trying to save this, but if you're going to give us a figure like this, just decide on one. The original Man of Steel made that same mistake. They gave us a whole bunch of little stretch pulling Superman figures, little Superman figures with vehicles. If you skimmed it down to only like the DC Universe figures for the collectors, and then these for the kids, you could have budgeted in additional articulation for these figures, and you could have budgeted in better cape quality than this plastic cape. It's ridiculous. Also, maybe get rid of these and put some of that effort into putting in capes and not this kind of cape. So, Superman, you've seen better releases, my friend, but I hate to almost say it, you've also seen worse releases. This guy is kind of in the middle. I think pick him up if you really want a Superman figure, but understand the fact that he's going to have this really awful cape and not as much posability as he could have gotten, but at least for a kid, I think the kids are going to really like this guy. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Mattel Superman versus Batman, Superman v Batman. We are looking today at Shield Superman. Shield Superman. Actually, I think it was Batman v Superman. Spot got so thrown off by the fact he's got a fruit roll-up cape. Batman v Superman, Shield Superman. It's okay, man. It's okay. We'll have a look at the DC Universe figures, the multiverse figures, and I'm sure they'll be a little bit better. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.